Hello and welcome back to the My Montana Kitchen YouTube channel, where I show you how to make delicious, family-friendly, healthy, sugar-free recipes that your entire family will enjoy. And today we're going to talk about Poodle Doodles. Now, if you have been around My Montana Kitchen for very long, you no doubt have heard of Poodle Doodles and know what they are. But just in case you're new here and have never heard of a Poodle Doodle, let me give a quick explanation, because it probably doesn't sound like something you would enjoy eating. When my father-in-law was young, he was raised by his grandma, and his grandma made these candies called chocolate yummies, and they were shaped into little logs and covered in chocolate, and he thought they looked like Poodle Doodles and started calling them that. So much to his grandmother's chagrin, by the way. His grandmother did not approve. Well, my husband grew up having these at Christmas time, and they always called them Poodle Doodles. That's just what they called them. So they would shape them into little logs, and you cover them in chocolate or you cover them in butterscotch. Butterscotch were my husband's favorite. So when we got married, I learned how to make Poodle Doodles, and it's something we only had at Christmas time. Well, whenever I started THM, I decided Poodle Doodles needed a little bit of a makeover because it was pretty much powdered sugar, graham cracker crumbs, coconut nuts. So I made them over and made them THM friendly, which means they are also low carb. This is a low carb recipe, and they are sugar free. So now we can enjoy Poodle Doodles whenever we want. And Lily's Sweets now makes a butterscotch chocolate chip. Well, okay, butterscotch chip. That is amazing and makes these Poodle Doodles wonderful. And they taste just as good as the original recipe that my husband enjoyed growing up. But there's a little bit of a problem. No, let's not call it a problem. It's not a problem. But it can be time consuming and get your hands messy to shape that mixture all into doodles. So, more often than not nowadays, I just make them in an 8x8 pan. I just pour the mixture in there. You don't even have to, put it in the fridge to firm so you can handle it. Just scrape it all into an 8x8 pan. Put it in the fridge just for a few seconds if you want to firm it up. I don't really even think you have to do that. I think you can just melt the chocolate then and pour it directly on top and then put it in the fridge to firm up and harden. Then you just cut it into squares and you have Poodle Doodle bars. And I've heard from so many of you who make it this way already. So I thought I would just do a little video and show you how easy it is. I promise it's one of the easiest desserts you can make. Everyone loves them. I've not met a person yet who didn't love Poodle Doodles, unless you don't like peanut butter, because there is peanut butter in them. So that may be, if you don't like peanut butter, then you may not like them. But if you do like peanut butter, I guarantee you're going to love them. So let's get started. Okay, so first you're going to have half a cup of chopped nuts. And you can use any nut that you want. I generally use walnuts, but today I have pecans, so that's what I'm going to use. And chop them. I just measure out half a cup into a bag, and then I just use my peanut butter jar to chop them. Now we're going to measure out half a cup of all natural peanut butter. Today I'm using the Jif no sugar added creamy, which is very good. My favorite brand of peanut butter is Adam's No Stir, but I didn't have enough of it today, so I'm not using this. By the way, in the East, if you live in the eastern part of the United States, this is Smucker's brand. But in the western part of the United States, it's called Adam's. But it's the same company. If you look on the back, it says Smucker's. All right, so we're gonna measure out half a cup of peanut butter. Also, as another kind of random tip, if you run water in your measuring cup before you measure out something sticky like peanut butter, then it comes out a lot easier. See? All right, so we have half a cup of peanut butter, and then we're gonna take 1 stick of butter, half a cup of butter, and we're gonna put it in the microwave and melt it. If you don't use a microwave, you can definitely melt it on the stovetop. Okay, now this is pretty much melted, so I'm just gonna give it a good stir with a whisk. And then you can see we have the melted peanut butter and butter. Then we're gonna add a few more things. So now we can add our chopped nuts. And we're gonna add half a cup of gentle sweet to sweeten it. I make my own gentle sweet. You can click the link here in the video to see how I make my own at home. So half a cup of gentle sweet, and then a 1/4 cup of golden flax meal. The flax meal is to replicate the graham cracker crumbs in the original recipe. That's the purpose for adding it. And we'll talk in a few minutes about what to do if you don't want to add flax meal, how you can substitute something for that. And then we're gonna add unsweetened coconut. So we're going to add 1 cup of unsweetened coconut. And then we're just gonna give it a good stir to mix it all together. And this is what it should look like. Now, if you're gonna make them into doodles, you need to put this in the refrigerator to firm up a little bit so you can scoop it out and shape it. But if you're just gonna make it into bars, you can just scrape it directly into your 8x8 pan. Just kind of spread it around so it's even. All right, this was about after 40 seconds, but you want to make sure whenever you're microwaving chocolate like this to do it in 10 or 20-second increments. Give it a little stir, and then you don't want to overcook it because it will scorch it, and then it will seize, and it will get very yucky and you won't be able to use it. So you can see I have a nice melted chocolate consistency. And then I'm just going to spread that over top of my Poodle Doodle bars. If you want to put the bars in the refrigerator to harden a little bit so that the chocolate will just go directly on top, that's totally fine. Or you can just do it this way and then it will all stick together. Sometimes I find whenever I put the bars in to firm up, sometimes I forget about them and they get a little bit too firm, and then the chocolate just breaks off the top of the bar and it separates. So this is one way to make sure that doesn't happen. It may not be quite as beautiful, but I'm okay with that. All right, then we're going to put them in the freezer for a few minutes. It'll take about 10 or 15 minutes for them to firm up, and then you can cut them into bars and enjoy. All right, so now it's time to cut them. They've been in the freezer for a little while, and you can definitely use a knife, but I like to use my dough scraper to cut them into bars. And all you have to do is just push it down like that, and it cuts it so easy. And there you go, Poodle Doodle bars instead of Poodle Doodles. I made mine kind of small because they're pretty rich, but you can cut them into whatever size you want. And enjoy. So there you have it. Really only about 5 minutes of hands-on prep time, maybe not even that, to make Poodle Doodle bars. They keep very easily in your freezer, and they're great to have on hand for whenever a craving strikes and you need something sweet and you need it right now. Poodle Doodles to the rescue. And at our house anymore, they're not relegated just to Christmas time, but we have them all the time. So again, you can mix up some things in this. You can use whatever flavor of chips to put on top if you want. There are pumpkin spice chips if you wanted to do pumpkin spice. There's white chocolate if you wanted to put white chocolate on. Lily's makes butterscotch. Those are the best. But Lily's makes a salted caramel chip that is really delicious. That would be great on here. But then also I get questions a lot of times about two things. First of all, can you use almond butter instead of peanut butter? And the answer to that is yes. Just use the same amount. That's totally fine. The second question I get is, can I leave the flax meal out? And the answer is yes. You can leave the flax meal out and just add extra nuts or add extra coconut. And then people ask, well, can I leave the coconut out? I don't like coconut. And while I don't really think you can taste the coconut very strongly in this recipe, yes, you can. Just substitute it with the same amount of something else. So of chopped nuts or flax meal or whatever. This is a very forgiving recipe because it's all melted together and then it hardens in the refrigerator or freezer. So it's very forgiving. You can mix up the amounts of ingredients as long as you have the total amount, which I think, right off the top of my head, I think is 2 cups of other ingredients. But yes, you can mix it up however you want. Make it your own and own it. So I would love to hear from you. Have you ever tried Poodle Doodles? And if you have you made them into doodles or did you make them as bars? And then if you haven't ever tried them, I would love for you to come back and tell me when you do try them and let me know what you think about them. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button and then that little bell notification. If you click that, that will let you know every time I post a new video. All right, I hope you have a blessed day and I'll see you next time.